Welcome to the second video in this free three-part series on winning points and matches at the net. Now, in the first video we talked about hitting cleaner volleys with better volley technique, and if you haven't watched that one yet, I highly recommend that you click the link above this video and watch that one first. Now today I want to talk to you about dominating at the net with great court positioning. Court positioning is extremely important when you are approaching the net. The most important concept to keep in mind here is that you need to cover the line. So what does that mean? When I approach to one side, towards the backhand side, for example, against a right-handed opponent, then the ideal position for me for the next volley is not in the middle of the court, which is often the mistake that players make, but instead it is set off a little bit to the right side, so around here, in order to cover the down-the-line shot and the cross-court angle shot that my opponent can hit. Now, the general idea is to position yourself at the midpoint between the two shots that your opponent can reliably hit. So the cross-court angle and the down-the-line shot, and then you position yourself approximately at the midpoint so that you can cover both of these shots. One other thing to keep in mind is that you always want to lean towards covering the down-the-line shot because the cross-court angle shot is so much more difficult. Now let's take a look at this in super slow motion.
Okay, so in this situation I'm going to approach to the right-hand side, and let's take a look at where I'm going to position myself to cover both of the shots that she can reliably hit. Right here, as I'm getting into the split step, you can see these are the two options that she can, in my opinion, reliably hit. And I've tried to position myself in the middle of those two options so that I can now cover both shots with one big step. And I'm going to try and step diagonally whenever possible. Let's see what happens next here. She decides to go down the line. I'm trying to cut off the angle. However, here I realize that I'm not in a perfect position with my racket, and so I decide to go down the line again and hold my position, which is what I would usually do when I feel like I cannot put the volley away. So now the situation is very similar as before, but I am closer to the net. And as a result, the blue lines that you see here are shorter, so essentially I can cover the net a lot better and cut off the angles. So she decides to go down the line again, and now I cut off the angle, and as you can see right here, the contact point is relatively close to the net, which makes it very easy for me to put the volley away with a cross-court angle.
Alright, so how can you practice this? Great way to practice the ideal positioning up at the net is by putting markers on the ground. And as you can see here, I've put down some markers. Right over there we see approximately where I'm going to hit my approach shot. Then over here we have the possible cross-court angle shot that my opponent can hit. And over here is the down-the-line shot that my opponent can reliably hit. And then up there we have the ideal positioning for me in order to cover both sides. So basically this is the midpoint between covering the cross-court angle and the down-the-line shot. And so now I can simply practice that, simulate a situation where I hit an approach shot, and then move up to that marker, split step, and simulate a volley. So first I'm going to show you that without the ball. So I'm simulating an approach shot, moving up, split step, and then right here. And I can do that over and over. Now let me quickly show you here how I can cover both of these shots with one big aggressive step, and that's why this position is ideal. So from the split step, I can go with one big aggressive step, and I can cover the down the line shot like this. And same thing, split step here, one big diagonal step. I can definitely cover the cross-court angle shot, and that's the position that we want to be in. So now I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to hit an approach shot and then simulate a volley. Okay, just like that. And so now we go down progressions. We increase the difficulty level step by step. In the next step, you could have a practice partner and just do the approach. Your practice partner goes for a passing shot, and then you just put one volley away. One more thing I want to mention is that you have to be really aggressive with your footwork when you come to the net, and also when you make that step to cover the passing shot. Aggressive footwork is extremely important to get into the ideal position quickly, and that puts a lot of pressure on your opponent's passing shot. So what exactly do I mean with that? If I hit my approach shot right here, I then afterwards have to really make big aggressive steps to cover ground, come forward, and then I split step and once again take an aggressive step to cover the passing shot. So that is extremely important. As usual, you can easily practice that with shadow swings just like this. Come in, split step, and then aggressively close in order to give your opponent very little options to pass you. Now let me show you the same thing with the ball.
Let's take a look at the aggressive footwork in super slow motion here. I move through my approach shot to make sure that I get close to the net, and then I take a big step forward trying to cover as much ground as possible with aggressive footwork. I get into the ideal volley position, split step, and now when I recognize this ball is coming, I once again close in aggressively with a big step, trying to get the contact point pretty close to the net.
Okay, so much on dominating at the net with great court positioning. Now if you combine what you learned in the first video on improving your volley technique in order to hit cleaner volleys, and what you learned today on dominating at the net with great court positioning, you'll be well on your way to winning points and matches at the net. Now let me quickly recap what we talked about in today's video. The most important concept to understand is that when you approach the net, you need to make sure that you cover the line. So when you're approaching to the backhand side, your optimal position is set off to the right of the middle of the court a little bit. And the general idea is to cover the two shots that your opponent can reliably hit. From the ideal volley position, you then lean towards covering the down the line shot, because that shot is a lot easier than the cross-court angle shot. And last but not least, you want to make sure that you're aggressive with your footwork, trying to take a big step towards the ball and cutting the angles off diagonally whenever possible. Okay, so much for video number 2 in this free 3-part series on winning points and matches at the net. If you have any questions, feel free to post them underneath this video. And in the next couple of days, you will receive video number 3 in this series. And in that video, I'll teach you how to approach the net effectively.